Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give call halal to you. How about Shemiah? Shall we do so in his beloved son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ? As promised, family. Today I got brother Elder Obed on today. It will be today is gonna. I got brother Elder Obed on today. It will be today is gonna be a non-visual video. But next time we are both going to be on camera. He could have been on camera, but he driving and my place of recording is kind of messed up right now. Like kind of a few things I need to straighten up in here. Nevertheless, that's not gonna stop nothing. Without further ado, I want to bring brother Elder Obed in. Elder Obed, shalom, 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 Elder. We are live and recording, man.
Shalom, my brother.
Shalom. So as I promised all my brothers and sisters, I was gonna have Elder Obed on. A lot of brothers and sisters excited. Spoke high things concerning brother Elder Obed. Concerning his work ethic in the truth. Posting consistent videos. And just being that double honor, like the scriptures say. And we want to give double honors to our to the elders. All praises to the Most High. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. I had a Edomite. He wanted to come on. I got a feeling he gonna call me during this live, and he gonna get ignored. I don't even know if he was sincere. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Con, I don't even know if he was sincere or what the case may be. But he was one of those that wanted to know his future and stuff like that. But let me ask you this, Elder. I guess I just ask you a few questions before we move on. What's your take on Isaiah 49:23, having heathens bow to us and kiss our feet? Some brothers agree with it, but they like, let's wait to the kingdom. Some brothers agree with it, but they like, why y'all doing that? So what's your take on that, Elder?
I really don't want nobody kissing on me and stuff, especially no man. The enemy, because that could be deception. That could be deception, that's deception. Because the enemy, he's very deception. So I think they're sending you in a false sense. They give you a false sense because, if we thinking, okay, then the next thing we be thinking is, they ain't, all of them ain't so bad, we start trusting them and we get built up from their kids. Judas kissed Jesus too,
God.
And we see he's still deceiving, but I think they're spoken to bear too. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't want to poke the bear. I don't want to be deceived. I don't want to get caught up in pride. I don't need them kissing me. I don't need their approval. Their future is their future, and they ain't gonna be able to change it, man.
Well, you definitely not the only person that shares that sentiment. Some brothers feel that, we definitely shouldn't have that played out and orchestrated out as such. And some brothers don't see the problem with it.
Right.
With me, and I understand both sides. With me, I feel like we should rehearse the righteous acts, but I know that can look different. I know some brothers can illustrate that differently. So it's funny you said not having them touch, they lips touch us. It was one Edomite who I had do that, and I didn't want her mouth to touch me either. I had her kiss the ground. Seriously, I had her mouth kiss the ground, and she was thrilled to do it. I feel like, cause it's some.
I'll give them. Can I say this? I don't mind giving them an opportunity to repent and to show, that, I don't mind them doing that, but,
right.
I would rather them, just keep God's laws and go teach their own people. what they can do. But go ahead. I don't know.
No con. I definitely understand. I'm like you. They should be teaching our laws to their people. And some Edomites, but see, some Edomites are passively sincere. Like the Edomite that we had kiss our feet. She wanted to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You got some that want to do that.
That's right.
I seen a lot of Edomites that want to do it.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
because I would want to too. Anything I could do to make God not hate me if I was there,
Okay. And then I tell people, because a lot of people talk about rehearsing the righteous acts, and I'll say, well, and this is my sentiment on this, Elder. I'll be like, well, you're right. We do got to rehearse the righteous acts. Well, isn't being a light to the Gentiles a righteous act? You know, but they pause it and they stop at that though. Oh, so we picking and choosing what righteous acts we want to rehearse. Oh, got you. And I'm not trying to be funny, Elder. Go ahead. You said you had something to say?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Come on, and I'm not trying to be funny, Elder. I understand that's some people understanding, but I'm like, you know what I mean? I try to be a light to the Gentiles as well. Because why? Because that's a part of rehearsing the righteous acts. I don't pick and choose what righteous acts I want to rehearse. No. Now people think that you kissing between Esau behind when you do. Hell, come on, really? Absolutely not.
No.
The same ways that look from a biblical perspective, that's the same way that looks in reality. So nobody's kissing Esau behind. Brothers just rehearsing the righteous acts. The same way from a biblical stance.
Right.
Now,
I believe in warning the wicked, and Esau is the wicked. But we gotta remember that the brain functions a certain way. I guess in my study in psychology and studying the brain, even from the mind point of view, from the biblical sense, it's a way to get that brain to function. I mean, to react in the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so you want them. You are not gonna get the brain. You're not gonna get people to receive your message if they're depressed or if you're ruling over them. You know what I mean? If you rule, I know we're gonna rule over them, but we want them right now to stop being devils. That's my main thing. We want them to stop being devils. We want them to stop participating in Esau's group mob, his mobbing, and to just segregate themselves from the main wicked people. You know, and when we teach them, I think we should try to show them how to do that. And their brain works the same way as ours to an extent. We do that by, not beating them up and ruling over them. And this is what that iron rod. I don't even think we should teach that until they get wicked, until they need that iron rod. And I don't even think we should teach it like that. I think we should psych them. We should appeal to their psychic and get them to see that we are better rulers. We are godly rulers. And if they do right, we'll treat them right.
What the elder, for lack of better terms, the elder just said, what the scriptures say, if at all possible, be at peace with all men. That's essentially what he's saying.
Oh, wow, that's it right there.
If at all possible, be at peace with all men. And we're in their kingdom and under their rulership, so
that's right.
It would be remiss if we didn't be at peace with all men. Now, yes, we understand, family. Right. Some people different, so that can look different for some people. We understand that. I understand that. It can look different for some people. And a lot of times, just for transparency, family, a lot of times, like around 6-7 years ago, I seen people having to coerce other nations into Isaiah 49:23 bowing. Now I see a lot of people, they just willfully want to do it by themselves.
Yeah.
See that?
See that?
Literally, a lot of people just literally wanted. Ain't nobody begging them to do that like that no more. They want to do that.
They want to save their behinds, man. That's self-preservation.
Con. They trying to self-preserve themselves. Well, it's gonna take a lot more than willingly bow. Cause Christ said every knee gonna end up bowing anyway. So that's gonna happen anyway. Right now y'all just have a choice. In the kingdom, y'all not gonna have a choice.
That's right.
And I try to explain that to brothers and sisters. Speaking of Esau and racism, I don't know about. I was talking to a group about this the other day. Look, elder. So now all of a sudden, because the Israelites are putting our feet to the plow at the extent we doing, now all of a sudden Edomites want to go on Joe Rogan and other podcasts and say, "Oh, you know what? John 3:16, that's not talking about the whole world to me. This is a white dude." He literally said, you can look it up. He said to me, dude, that sounds like a covenant he made between his people. And we've been saying that. You know why they starting to say that now? It's because we on they behind like white on rice. And it's because, so hold on, nobody was saying that 10 years ago. Why everybody all of a sudden starting to say John 3:16 is talking about God's chosen people? That's because the Hebrew Israelites been on y'all behinds like white on rice.
And it's a dark saying. It's really a dark saying.
You know, and quiet as it's kept, it really is. And that's why Christ said in Matthew 13:11, he gave us the sense to understand the scriptures, not to the other nations. He literally said the sense of the Bible, the understanding of the scriptures, he gave to us and not the other nations. So they're not going to understand the scriptures.
They're not going to understand it. Even Christians, even black Christians, that's hard for them to understand. You know.
Mm-hmm. And
until they get the revelation knowledge of
it. And some could tie that up with 1 Corinthians chapter 3. The scriptures, Paul spoke about a veil being on us from the Old Testament, and he talked about how that veil gonna be on us until the Messiah return. So it's literally veils, blinders on our people out here. And a lot of people can't see it, dude. And now where I am at today, not saying I'm better than my brothers and sisters, but I feel sorry for people that's not in the truth, because I see how destroyed they are and how lost they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The stuff that they think is. Say it again.
They've been deceived.
Come
over to their own devices. Their strong delusion is on them. So
like 2 Thessalonians 2:11 say. And let's understand why the Most High and why the scripture said that he would put that delusion on you. In 2 Thessalonians 2, it literally says because you failed to receive the knowledge of the truth with all unrighteousness and with all deceivableness.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You people chose to disregard the truth. I've seen a lot of people who know the truth. It was one sister, and see, the people like her, she a Jezebel harlot. The Lord go kill her. She a 2/3. This sister come up talking about, she starts shaking her behind in front of the camera. The brother said, "Excuse me, sister, do you think a man go see that and say, ooh, I want to marry her? I don't give a F about being married. I got several husbands." What? Oh, so you don't care about being married?
It just show you that it was a different. She trying to play like she's the woman at the well, She trying to take it from there, but they're understanding this shot, man. Our people's understanding this shot, man.
See,
they don't have any common sense, man.
Dude, elder, that woman literally said she got several husbands and she plenty niggas' wives. What? And you think but see, why do we think that's cute? I'm confused.
Yeah.
That's not.
You see, that strong delusion.
That sister, and she was flaunting, don't care. Eve is shameless, man. Eve is shameless, just naked and in sin, like the scripture saying Isaiah 47:3. Okay, like Adam and Eve was, just naked and in sin, and just not ashamed. And that's why white people say, offended by everything and ashamed by nothing. That's true for some of us.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know this, but
That's right.
they've been saying that a lot. They say we offended by everything and ashamed by nothing. I feel like that's kind of...
I heard that. I'm like, they got a lot of damn nerve saying something, excuse me, saying that.
No, con.
Because that describes them to a T, although they taught us that, though, you know.
Exactly. And see, what's going on, Elder, it's a lot of racial tension on the internet. See, a lot of the stuff, they just flipping it and saying it to us. Now they want to say we got black privilege and we victims. You know damn well we've been saying that about them for years, but now they starting to say it to us to fit their narrative.
And you know, they learned that from them Ashkenazis, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's their whole thing. That's their whole thing, is to play the victim. Flip it and play the victim, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of which, I did a little research. I was doing a little extra research on Pontius Pilate. I wanted to see what scholars thought, what scholars said he did after Christ and all of that. Basically they said that. So it's two understandings that scholars hold. They said that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, they believe that, and this is in their literature, they believe that he was converted and he repented and he came to serve Hamashiach because he realized that he was a hypocrite and he was a bad leader. White scholars believe that he got so depressed after, Christ and after all of that, that he committed suicide. And they said he tried to, his emperor at the time, during that time, when he tried to go back, to the Roman officials, they said that they kind of like castrated him. I believe the emperor name was Philo, Philo. And they said they kind of like, disregarded him. That's what led to his suicide. And they said he was depressed and he ended up being a vagabond and he ended up killing himself. So it's scholars have two synopses on him. One from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and one from white scholars. I kind of feel like he probably would have committed suicide. Just based off certain conclusions, but who knows? But nevertheless, this devil actually, see, when you deal with the literature, this man actually thought, because everybody around him was saying that he was a horrible leader and stuff like that. That's what drove to Pontius Pilate depression. You can read about it. But this man was delusional. After all the things that he did, he actually thought he was a wanted leader. And that just shows you that's the victimhood of the white man. It's the same spirit. You can't make this stuff up. Pontius Pilate had the same. When I read that, I said, "Oh, it sounded like he thought he was a victim." That's what it sounded like to me.
And we know the Holy Spirit was moving strong because he washed his hands of the blood of Christ, of the blood of,
Kind.
And he's the one that washed his hands, so he was under conviction. He was under conviction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
In conclusion, yeah.
Kind.
So, but it's all leading to them cutting us off from being a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, all their history is geared toward them cutting us off from our identity. So the after propaganda is, we can't trust none of it. We really can't trust none of it. So whatever they come up with,
right.
I discount it. I discount it.
Kind. Because regardless of the significance of either one of those situations, they know it's no really way we can thoroughly confirm to a T which situation happened. Yes, we can read about him in the Bible, put together comparative translations, all that, draw conclusions. But those synopses that I just gave, those are scholars' hypotheses. They're not sure. That's what they think.
That's right.
But I said, knowing the spirit of the white man, We know about all the history of him in the Bible and all that, but white people have a victimhood mentality.
That's true. That's true.
So,
that's their defense. That's their defense for their wickedness.
Exactly. I remember I literally seen in the store, this white lady made this Northern Kingdom lady cry. You probably know what video I'm talking about. And she was like, she said, "Excuse me," but the lady was racist, telling her to go back to Mexico. The lady started crying, and she was like, "Oh, cry, I don't care." And the people came up and said, "Hey, ma'am, you need to leave." And she's like, "She started it. She got this lady crying, telling her she need to go back to Mexico." And she's talking about some, she started. That's the spirit of them, man.
Yeah.
How you gonna tell a lady to go back to Mexico and then say she started, and then this lady crying? This lady just said, "Excuse me, that was your time to be racist and shine and show your racism, and you did just that. Now you want to play victim." They got the spirit back, and that's why the Lord said your pride has deceived you. But go ahead.
No, you remember that movie Beowulf?
Yes, I remember Beowulf.
You remember Gwendolyn? And you remember what he told his mother? The reason why he killed all them people down there? He said they harmed me because they were singing happy songs. You know.
Oh, wow.
He told his mother, the demon, he said, they harmed me. But they were only singing happy songs, you know, because they had slayed the dragon.
Right.
You know, but our happiness is harm to them. You know, they got to do something to make us unhappy and to torment us before they can be happy. You know, they sit on their beds thinking of ways to, you know, I don't know. I guess that's, and so playing a victim is a defense to cover up, like you said, to cover up their wickedness.
And
like a child's mind. Child always gonna, you know, that's a child's mind. They stuck it. The white race is stuck in their child's mind. All the nations are. You can only become an adult when you start keeping the laws of God. Anything else, you're stuck in your child. Yeah.
And I remember that movie, Elder. I remember when that movie came out. I don't remember that exact scene, but I remember that movie. You know, Beowulf was real long. It was like 2 hours. And I could never really get into it, especially at the time.
Okay.
But I definitely remember what movie you talking about.
Check out that scene. Google it and check out that scene.
I'ma definitely do that.
Take you to that scene, yeah.
Did you hear about, this was like last year, Vladimir Putin was sneaking in the Congo, stealing uranium. You know, uranium is on the periodic table of elements, and it's used to power nukes. Did you hear about him stealing uranium out of the Congo?
I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, it's because they don't want you to hear about it.
Yeah, I think I might have heard about it. Yeah. I don't know if I heard about it or not, but I would imagine that to be so.
Of course. And this how you know we're on the brink of war. But look how this just amazes me. How can these people just walk in any continent and country and just take what they want and not give nobody any resources in return for it or monetary gain? This man literally just walked in the Congo with him and his military personnel and was stealing uranium. See, nobody want to talk about that. CNN don't want to cover that. Nobody want to talk about that.
Right. And they don't have a conscience either because their conscience is dead. But one thing I think that makes them think they have the right and justify it because they know Wisdom of Solomon in the 2nd chapter, and you'll find out.
God.
You probably read it already. You know, they know this is their turn to rule on the earth.
Kind.
You know, and so they feel like that they under Esau's blessing. You know, that they under his blessing. They get to rule and take what they want from all people. So, you know.
Kind, and you know, just seeing them ruling with a sword, you know, I see them doing it, and this is why also why the Lord said, you know, in Exodus 17 and 15 that he will have war on Amalek from generation to generation. And this is how you know the scripture's real, because we literally see that, dude. We literally see that. You people do realize that they've been fighting over there in the Middle East, not Middle East, the Mesopotamian region, since the early 1800s over the same situation in the conflict. Literally.
And is that scripture? Is that one of the scriptures that say the reason why that the clay and the iron will never
depart? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You wanted me to get it?
If you want to.
Con, I can get that real quick. I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me get the Bible. Okay, this is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 43.
Oh, yeah.
And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with murry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
Okay. So that's talking about us being in the middle, them having us in captivity. This last captivity in the foot. When you look at Daniel's statue, the iron and the clay, and you were basically talking about how they are fighting against each other.
And yeah, I do see also, I also do see discrepancies amongst them as nations, and I'm seeing that a lot more spiritually in totality with them, you know, and that's just prophecy ramping up, because when everything is said and done, see, and this is what I try to tell people, right? People have to realize, and I know white people in the other nations don't believe it because they don't have a God and they don't know God. The Lord said in Deuteronomy 4 that he gave the other nations gods just to worship, false idols just to worship. He literally said in Deuteronomy 4, I believe verse 27 on down, that he gave other nations false idols and false gods just to worship. He know it's not real. Man, the Lord off the chain, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Imagine a God saying, and see, that's how I know this real. Because, you know, Muslims, they want to act like they have a main deity of worship. Man, y'all used to worship the sun, moon, stars, and all that crap before. See, they don't want to talk about that. See, why they want to, they want to pick on Christians, and they should pick on Christians. You know when Christians do the little cross thing on their body and face?
Yeah.
I seen a Muslim get on a Christian behind that before, because he was like, where did you get that from? Where did Christ do that in the scriptures? You don't follow Christ. He said, no, Christ didn't do it. My church did it. Oh, so you follow your church. You don't follow Christ. And the Muslim had a point, Elder.
That's right.
You know, the Muslim had a point.
I was just mentioning that to the Jehovah's Witness, you know. The Jehovah's Witness said, they said go to the website. They don't want to talk. Well, these some brothers, these some black guys, and they said he pointed to that pamphlet. I said, what is that? He said, that's an aid. That's not the Bible. I told him, that's not the Bible. He said, that's an aid to the Bible. I said, well, what about the Holy Spirit and the law? I said, ain't that an aid to the Bible? You know.
Right.
And that's the same point, you know. They want the doctrine of man to aid them, and they don't want to hear the Bible because it's, you know, then that brings them back to being accountable for their behavior, you know. Literally.
And you know what? I don't mean to switch topics too quick, but what you just said, it just made me think about something. I was talking to a few brews. Now, I know what the scriptures say, and I give you my theological understanding behind this afterwards. But I want to understand what's your understanding on it. So, what's your take on not just one ordinance, but Paul ordinances period, but specifically having your head covered for men when the scriptures coming out, not covered, Salakia, and women having their head covered when praying and prophesying?
You know, I want to say, is that a law? Is that a law?
No, it's not a law of God.
Yeah, see, that's what I want. I try to stick close to. I'm trying to,
Right.
stick with the law and stuff, But I'd hate to be at somewhere where it's real cold and I gotta take my hat off. I don't think that's God.
Right.
You out in the cold, you gotta witness somebody, you gotta take your hat off, and I know he'll shield us from sickness and stuff like that, but I don't think, you know what I mean? I think it means honor, don't it? Know what I mean?
Well, when you read the contextuality of why Paul gave that ordinance, it was to help us acknowledge Christ. But also, Elder, this is my thing. Paul literally said in verse 16, because verse 4, I'm gonna just read it. 1 Corinthians 11:4. But every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, dishonor her head. For that even all one as if she were shaven. Now, watch verse 16. He said, but if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. Theologically, he's talking about, we're reading about the churches of God. So he said there's no such custom, meaning it's not a law. So if anybody try to be contentious, Elder, and say, oh, why is Elder Obed got his head covered? Paul just said, if any man seems to be contentious, like a lot of people try to do, not everybody, I usually just be pupils, because this is clear. We have no such custom. Hey, let's go even further, Elder. And I did a lesson on this.
Thank you for that, brother.
Con. And I did a lesson on this, explaining this in depth. And so I'll just point out one more thing. And see, this what kind of makes me mad with this, Elder. See, people try to preach Paul ordinances, but they pick and choose. If you go preach them in totality. Look what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 7. Let's see if people doing this. 1 Corinthians 7:6. But I speak this by permission, not commandment. So it's by permission, not commandment. For I would that all men were even as myself, but every man that have his proper gift to God, one after the manner and one after another. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. What he mean? Unmarried. Verse 8, I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them to abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. Paul just said, Elder Obed, if you're not married, don't get married. Do you think people teach that?
No, they're not going to teach that.
Of course they're not going to teach that, because that would contradict the Lord. Didn't the Lord say in Genesis 9:7, be fruitful and multiply? So what the hell is Paul talking about? Oh, I'll tell you what Paul... Go ahead. No, my bad. Go ahead.
I'm still hearing. I'm still listening.
Con, and I'll tell you what Paul talking about. And I was telling some brews this. The context of what he's talking about, all you gotta do is read verse 2. Nevertheless, verse 2, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband. So when you read that, he's talking about the context of fornication. So he's saying, man, if some people want to avoid fornication, I'm gonna be honest, bro. If you a widow and do like I, don't even marry nobody. But if you already married and you can't contain, go ahead and get married and prosper in your marriage. But if not, don't get married. Ain't nobody teaching nobody not to get married.
Right.
Come on now.
You know, in this day and time, in Paul's age, it's hard. A man my age, I've been married 3 times. It's hard. It's hard to try to go out here and find a woman, because you don't want no old Christian woman, and
exactly.
Too young. It's hard for a man to find a woman. It's like to find a woman. It's more trouble, man. It's more trouble. And I remember an elder told me one time, say, man, you don't need all that sex all the time. At a young age, some young age that ain't in the truth, man. You think you need a whole lot of sex,
Right.
And when you get older, you don't even think like that. You think about how am I going, you don't want, you don't really want.
It's not, you don't view it as a necessity as much as a younger couple would. And it's crazy because you literally just said the same thing. One of the bros I spoke with, well, when I read that widow's part, he was like, yeah, somebody get old, man, they might not want to get remarried. And I understand. I understand. Now I would still want my brother to get married, but if somebody divorced at 70 or 80, that person probably, I don't know. I ain't gonna say he probably won't get married, but I can see people not getting married at that age. They're 70 and 80. You understand?
You remember Sarah? Even in their 60s, a woman don't have no design for a man.
Con. Great point, Elder. Great point.
If a man still got his drive, and a woman don't, Sarah, that's why Sarah told Abraham to take that young woman, because a man wants to see a woman pleased. You don't care how old he is. You please that woman. You ain't got no hold over if she ain't got no, you can't please her. You want to know, you know what I mean. Everybody know what that is.
That's a good reference. Con.
She'll punk you. Because she'll punk you, man, is because she don't want nothing from you but take care of it,
Con, and God, you ain't never lied. And so you divorced, Elder?
Yeah, 3 times. They divorced me.
Man, 3 times. Was they in the truth or this was in the world?
We wasn't in the truth. We was going to church.
Con. Okay, con. It's another elder I know in Pennsylvania. He kind of got the same situation, but he married to an Edomite. He don't want to be married to her no more.
I don't know what that. Yeah.
And see, but guess who? But watch this, elder. Guess how he found out he was an Israelite? His heathen wife, his white wife.
She knew it.
Yes, she told him. You see how the little word?
Get a divorce or something? Yeah.
Well, so this is how you know Esau is who they are, the scriptures. So he said that he would try to make things work out, but every now and then she'll get in this mood to where she discredit the truth, the Bible, Israelites. She one of those.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So when she get mad, that Bible's not real. Oh, you Jews don't exist. All that crap. That type of crap. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And she's an Edomite. It's in her spirit. Her spirit not lifted up right from her. What you expect?
And some of our black Christian women, they might not say that, but that's how they really view the Bible.
Right. That's how they feel.
Especially you try to take them customs from them. You try to take them Mother Days and all that from them. Damn, man.
What?
People don't believe. I ain't that deep,
Boy,
I ain't that deep in it.
No, you ain't lying, though, man. Boy, our people love these customs. And see, a lot of that come from Mother's Day. I had asked this one girl, and I do this to people I'm familiar with. I'm not a person that try to show and gloat knowledge. I was familiar with her. So I said, sister, do you know what Cinco de Mayo mean? Because, a lot of our people got habits of celebrating things that they have no historical contexts of, right? And she said, oh, the 5th of May or the May 5th, something like that. I said, okay, you're right. Now, I just left it at that because I was going to ask her if she's familiar with the history, but Elder, she's not familiar with the history of the 5th of May.
That's right.
She's just celebrating it because it's a custom that was introduced to her since she was a kid and introduced to all of us as black people and been passed down to generations, and black people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. That's why we celebrate. See, do you see Mongoloids, do you see Koreans celebrating St. Patrick's Day?
No.
Hell no. I ain't never seen no Asian outside on no damn St. Patrick's Day. You know who I do see? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Yeah.
Boy, they be out there front and center. I'm talking about for every day. You know,
And that's that Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King started that, man.
what day I just said?
That us wanting to join in with them, hoping that they'll like us better.
Oh yeah. Con. And he did come with a lot of that ideology, and you know, then of course you remember his infamous statements and speech where he said, "I'm afraid I'll alert my people into a burning building." And that was a beautiful analogy because, well, technically he didn't because everything is of the Lord, but also technically he did, and that's why the Lord said in Jeremiah 23, "Woe to the evil ones that strengthen the hands of evildoers," because as quiet as it's kept. Martin Luther King, that shit was from God. God didn't have what he did claim ordaining him to do that, but God didn't believe had the same sentiments that Martin Luther King had. He had his own sentiments. With that hold hands, God wasn't on that.
No, he even said it and he said dreamer. He called him a fake dreamer and stuff. He even prophesied against him.
No, seriously, if we being practical. If anything, Malcolm X was coming in the spirit of our forefathers more. If we being technical, you know, and even Dick Gregory as well. I love Dick Gregory. He was the truth.
Nat Turner.
Who?
Nat Turner was.
Oh yeah, Nat Turner. Nat Turner, he definitely was. You know, a scene that got me. And remember, that stuff based on true events. Is when he had left that plantation preaching, and they put it in slow mo because he's starting to realize the significance of the state because they showing how his conscience growing in the movie, how smarter he getting, how he becoming woke. When he was leaving that plantation and he seen that white girl with that noose around her neck and she chasing her, but she's laughing and playing. She don't know the significance of what's going on. But he's seeing that white girl with that noose around her neck, pulling her and having her chase her. And they showed it in slow motion, Elder, because that was a real determining factor in the movie that Nat Turner was starting to see what's going on with his people and what type of state they was in, how destroyed they was. He was starting to realize, hold on, man, that shit wrong. Excuse my language. He was like, hold on, that's wrong. You know what I mean? And that I hope that,
like you said, he was waking up.
Exactly. And I hope that didn't go over a people's head. Why do you think they slowed it down in that scene and showed that they wanted you to show his consciousness was starting to wake up? He was starting to but because before it wasn't perceived as wrong to him. Remember, they made it like they said God told him to do that and all that shit. You know what I mean? So it wasn't wrong to us. But he started reading that Bible.
That's it.
And he started saying, hold on.
And that show you the remnant part of the Israelites too. Because everybody, you might have been asleep for a minute, but God started waking them remnants up in slavery and stuff. Because he had to keep the truth going, you know. So there's always been a remnant, you know. He's always gonna wake up a remnant before everybody else wakes up and to leave, you know, so they won't destroy us all. They couldn't destroy us totally. He always had a remnant wake up, even though we had to die. Some of us had to, you know, be martyrs, but he kept bringing remnants because I was a remnant when I was 12 years old reading the Bible. You know, when I read through Deuteronomy 28 and 68, I knew then I couldn't say nothing because they, you know, that wasn't what the preachers was teaching, but I knew then, I'm like, that's us.
Right,
that's
okay, right. You know? Oh, I promise you, Elder, when I read that, I knew immediately. Oh, yeah. I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
I knew immediately. And if you look at testimonies from a lot of us, we all initially had that response.
That's right.
And it was in conjunction with, I want to read this scripture real quick. It's also in Joel chapter 2. This is Acts chapter 2 and verse 17. And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith the Lord, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. You know, and that started to happen with, it's been a lot of sisters. I've seen a lot of sisters said, one sister said she had a dream that skinny missiles skinny shaped missiles that just start falling all over the world. And she's not the only one that said. There's been a lot of people that said that. A while back, I had a dream of, and this is why it's crazy, because when I got in the scriptures, some of the physical things I was seeing are literally described in the scriptures. Like I had seen Christ in the sky. I could just see his face, a Negro, and his eyes was like a red color, and he was screaming. Elder Obed, like he was screaming, like he wasn't screaming, releasing the noise, but he was like that impression of a scream while his face was getting closer to the earth, like just signifying how much he finna get this world to business. And when I tell you that was so real, Elder, that was so real. And it's a lot of people that.
I know what you mean.
It felt so real, and that scared me. You know how you have some dreams or revelations that scare you, how real it is. Man, that scared me. I kind of had to stay up 4 days after that dream. It was that, and that spirit come from the Lord as well. He put that spirit on me to be scared like that.
That's right.
And that's why, what is it? Sirach 19 and like 28 or 29. The scripture says people with wisdom is go fear the Lord. You know what I mean? And that's why white people in historian, you don't never hear them talk about that, because they don't know God, and they think, oh no, why would I? Because they think Christ is a skinny white homosexual. So why be scared of that? That's why you never hear white people. Why you think you never hear white people talking about the fear of the Lord, man? It's because they don't have it, and in their minds they think that that's something that should exist. Bible say one thing, they want to do something else.
And another reason is because the judgment is on them. They know who they are in the scripture. See, they weren't disconnected from their heritage. They know exactly who they are, and they know their judgment. So they go, they want to act like it don't exist because they couldn't finish their kingdom off, moving in their kingdom, knowing that God might come for them any day, so they tried to make another. That's why they make another religion, to where their people will keep following and keep looking, and keep looking at us as Africans, and look at them as God's chosen people, because they wouldn't have made the progress unless their political religion. But their religion is political. They get people to follow and trust them, and their people would wake us up if they didn't look at their own nation, at their own people as Israelites, as the chosen people. They would have woke us up and taught us how to read the Bible.
And that's why they made it illegal for us to read. And if people look, around the time where they had us like stop reading was like around the Renaissance era, around a lot of the times where they was like switching history, and you know what I'm saying? And rewriting books, literally. Or like around the 14th, 15th century. And see, what I was going to say, Brother Elder Obed, this is how, man, this is one minuscule way I know this is beyond true. Do you know when I first came into truth? Because I heard people talking about they was doing it. I swear to you, Elder, I walked into like over 10 stores. And I like asked like these Arabs who they descend from in the Bible. Man, all of these people know who they are, bro. Ishmael, all of them know that. Look, I asked one person, I just told him, I said, you descend from Elam? This was an East Indian. He looked at me and smiled, and he said he know. Like, I know that. He said, who do you come from? And see, he said that because he already know who I come from. He just wanted to see if I knew. And I said Israel, and he laughed and he smiled and put his head down. Not in a facetious way, sarcastic way, laughing like, "Wow, I can't believe they figured this out."
Yeah.
It is real, Elder.
They couldn't keep deceiving us if they didn't know what to say and what to do. The political and military warfare that had to go on to keep us asleep, they had to know who they are. Because that way they know their purpose on the earth is never wake these niggas up. Don't never tell them,
Exactly.
Don't even suggest that they might be Israelites. They knew what they had to do. They knew the warfare they had, psychological warfare.
And it's a huge and it's a huge psychological welfare. You know what? I seen the Edomite just text me. I seen this one lady say around the time when Jesse Jackson had gave us the term Afro-American, or was it Afro-American or African American? Afro-American. Con. She was sitting with a white coworker, and the black lady was saying how she was like, wow, we gonna be, and you can look this up. She was like, wow, we gonna be referred to as Afro-American now. We know that's a hairstyle. And the lady beside her, mind you, this in the 1900s. White people a lot bolder back then. She said, the white lady said, you people don't know who you are. and you know what? She not lying though.
Yeah.
She not lying,
they
Elder.
They don't tell us because they was told and they not gonna tell us. How does she know we don't know who we are?
Exactly. Exactly, Elder. How you know we don't know who we are?
Right.
Because you know this country full of crap, and you know these people telling a lie. And see, that was a strong moment right there. Who knows? So the sister didn't go into detail how she responded, but she probably could respond because she know we don't. Especially at that time.
That's right.
You know, and that just goes to show that we are the Israelites because we would have our. And see, white people think white people like to say, you guys, we were Egyptians and shit. You know, they like to pick on us. We were kings. We were Jews. We were Greeks. We were Irish. You know, because a lot of people come with different sentiments, and so they gloat in that. Like it's like it emphasizes all of us thinking we all those different things. That to them that emphasizes how lost we are. So it just gives them fuel to pick on us with the we was kings and shit. That's what fuels that.
Yeah, and that prolongs their kingdom.
God.
You know what I mean? That prolongs their kingdom, you know.
God, us being
we stay asleep, they feel safe.
God, us being in a lost, docile state, that definitely prolongs their kingdom, man. Sometimes
in their mind, yeah.
Exactly. In their mind, because we know the Lord will go be done. I see sometimes the stuff that they post, I just can't even read, bro. When I tell you white people hate our guts, bro, and I tell people, stop reacting to racism and ask them why you make them think you care about them not caring about you, bro. Stop doing it. Why you call me a nigga? Why you don't like who? Now I'm not gonna lie. I seen a lady. She did a video. She was like, bro, y'all can't even tell us why y'all don't like us, bro. You know the state of our people. We are the most loving people, bro. We be trying to love them, bro. They don't even have no reason to not like us.
Right.
I literally remember before I came in the truth, and I think I only told one person this is how I know God is real. You the second person I revealed this to, Elder. Do you know, this is how I know this is real. Do you know before I came in the truth, I was literally trying to get closer to God from my understanding. And I always had a little natural resentment towards white people. I'm from Florida.
Me too, yeah.
So I always had a natural resentment for them. So I was praying to the Lord while I was growing up, you know what I mean, trying to elevate in my life, do the right thing. I literally prayed to God and asked him to help me take the hatred from towards white people. Literally. And soon as I did that, I was introduced to Priest of Bach on YouTube, and I got in the truth. Soon as I started trying to pray to the Lord to help me love white people, I literally would pray to him and ask him to help me love them. You want me to think that's a coincidence, Elder?
No.
I don't think that's a coincidence. When I'm trying to pray to the Lord and have him help me love them, he introduced me to the real truth. That's not a coincidence. That was by design.
He draws us. He draws us. That's by his design. But my thing too was I started thinking about. He had me start to think about them and who they were. I saw the hatred that they had. When I before I even understood Job 9:24, I said the wicked got to be these white people because why are they all over the earth in every land? You know what I mean?
Right.
What happened to them? What happened to them that they come out of them caves hating everybody like that, you know?
Right.
And like you said, you start waking me up.
They act like we enslaved them and took their land.
Yeah.
Seriously.
For his brother,
And Elder, that's how I know it's a spiritual connotation behind it. Because they have no reason to display the hate that they display towards us.
That's right.
They want to play, and see, I also study analytics, and you got to study analytics dealing with the white man because he like to play. So they try to act like we the minority. No, we're not. So they want to go with this 13% thing. Those analytics are conclusive to America. Elder, do you know how many black people are in South America?
Yeah. It's about 200. It's about 290 million. I looked up the statistics.
Boy, you got you damn near got that head on. Well, my statistics said 130 million to 206 million. But it don't matter. We know it's millions.
You talking about black and brown? Because I was looking at some videos and it was black and brown down in And they saying, you know what they saying? The black and brown is together down there.
And they are.
And, yeah.
And no,
they together, and they were saying that they was brought here. They are the same people that was brought to North America on them slave ships.
Oh, of course.
Down there too.
Of course.
So they think they came from Africa, straight from Africa.
Right.
And then my thing was, how did they get all of them down there? They couldn't get, but a few of us here in North America.
Right, and this is
they cleaned up. We was all in North America. All the Northern Kingdom was in North America, and they had to clean us off the land. Because you think about it, why would they have to have a treaty with the people if they was already overtaking gas, if they was already stronger than the people?
Right,
and why would they have to make treaties?
Right, and treaties that they did not honor. I need to say treaties that they did not answer. And see,
until they got the land cleared off. Once they start getting the land cleared off and captured and moving them out of the way, then they kept breaking broke the treaty.
Right, exactly. And see, people fail to realize that. Well, they understand this. See, let me tell you how evil white people is. I was talking to an Edomite one time. I was like, how did your evil people get Canada? The same way, deception. I just did a video on that. And see what it is, though, Elder. They gloat in the fact, they'll say, well, Native Americans was just sitting around smoking pot. So let's say they was doing that. So because they just sitting around smoking pot, you go come in and kill them and take their land. Now they believe that's justifiable. They believe stuff like that is justifiable. And Elder, Native Americans, to a certain extent, they was kind of incompetent on a literary sense. Like they wasn't that academically inclined, and really nobody was at that time. Nevertheless, they played on them they didn't understand about selling and buying land. They didn't understand nothing about that, and the white man played on them with that. They gave them foods, blankets with smallpox, and they made them think they was doing a fair exchange. They were like, "Oh, you want to give me how much for?" Okay, they think it's all everybody land. They didn't know nothing about owning. Most of them, and you can do deep research on this. A lot of them didn't know about owning land in solidarity. They just thought a space was theirs. A white man come over there and say, "Hey, let me get this, and I'll give you." Okay. And then they start getting sick, and they start slaughtering them. And see, it was too late. It was too late then. They realized they had bit off more than they could chew. And that was by deception. And the same thing with Canada. Now, I literally seen people say, well, they was just sitting around smoking pot. So you telling me because they wasn't doing that. Now some of them was smoking pot, just dealing with history and being honest. But they wasn't just sitting around and smoking pot. Okay, but let's say they was, for conversation's sake. So when tribes are sitting around smoking pot in uncontacted areas of the land, that now deems you to kill them and rape their women and take all of their resources. That's what the white man said.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a problem, dude. Like, and they really find and that's why sometimes I can't even talk to them. You know, because I get mad because they just play in our faces with our pain and our misery. They don't care at all.
They gaslighting you because they know that ain't right.
Yeah, exactly.
You come and take their stuff.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you something too.
Go ahead.
When the Northern Kingdom came over here, on boats,
Mm-hmm.
so whatever they came on boats, do you think that they all stayed together until they got to one landmass, or did they all start breaking off and finding the little islands, and only 3 tribes came here? Did they all stop somewhere else? You know, I don't.
That's a good question, and to be honest,
to think logically, do you think they stayed together all up under the Euphrates and up under Africa and all that, and God brought them over and just start blowing their sails different ways, or did He bring them to one area? Would that be logical for them to say, well, because they didn't have no map.
Right.
It'd be logical for them to stick together and go to one place because they didn't know what they was coming into. And, it's power in unity and numbers.
Right. They didn't have maps, like anthological maps, like literary maps on paper, but they did have ways of depicting.
They navigated.
Yeah. They had ways. I believe some of us even use sundials. But to answer your question, Elder, what you said?
My point is, would they have broke off once they where did they land first? That's my thing. Wherever they land, were they together when they saw the Americas?
Yeah.
Do you believe they came together?
Yeah, so yes, I believe so. Yes, I do. I believe so.
Yeah.
Now, I to be honest,
say anything different.
no, it's not a scripture that would point to anything different. And sometimes Negro onlys, they'll play on that. I've seen a lot of Negro.
I know, but that ain't where I'm going. I know they'll use that.
Right.
I ain't battling them on that because they're gonna lose anyway. Negroes only is gonna lose. These scriptures should cut them to pieces.
Right. I dealt with a lot of Negro only.
Yeah. And I ain't worried about them because there's other scriptures that cut them to pieces. But my thing is, it would not be logical thinking for them to split up and just start floating off in different directions. They would have stayed together.
Yeah,
and learn the country and learn what they was going into because they needed each other.
Right. I definitely think that they would have stayed together too, Elder. And pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much the whole Israelite community shares that same sentiment as well. It's only when you talk to Negro onlys when you get a different perception and a different answer. And mind you, half of this stuff comes from different books. Because you can't prove that in the Bible. You can say that, but you can't prove that with the scriptures.
What?
That when they got over there, everybody just started going all over the place. Where is that in the scriptures?
Right.
Where is that in the Bible? It don't.
They weren't stupid. And they wasn't stupid. And then too, about those blankets, they didn't need those blankets. They had buffalo skins and stuff was much warmer than those blankets. I think they were just trading with them because the Edomites needed stuff from them.
Right.
They helped the Edomites more than the Edomites helped them with them little blankets and stuff.
And they see what they tried to do was have them mentally deprived. But you can't mentally deprive people that live off the land.
That's right. They knew how to live.
Right. See,
they've been over 2,000 years.
Exactly. And some people try to I mean, what Esau really did when you really deal with the nitty gritty, he tried to mentally deprive them, and see that's the same thing with the white man doing today, trying to mentally deprive us with all of his food and customs and culture. And see, the white man don't have culture. That's why you see a lot of them making culture now. That's why you see they got shows of them seeing who can chop down a tree the fastest. And you see what I'm saying? And seeing who can cut up pieces of wood the fastest. Oh, y'all wasn't doing that on a national level 10 years ago. Why y'all doing that now? Because y'all know y'all don't have culture, so y'all trying to make culture.
That's right.
They got to try to make culture and steal people culture. I didn't see Edomites chopping down wood. The two could chop down wood the fastest 10, 15 years ago, but they doing it now.
Yeah, because they doing that because they know we got the information. We got all the information on. We invented everything.
Right.
Well, they stole everything from us. So now they trying to turn it around. That's why they trying to erase our history to make it look like they had some input in creating society inventions that would benefit and civilize and be helpful to the world. But the only thing they invented were things that would be to hurt the world and destroy the world.
Exactly.
They created all those to help civilize and make it easier for humanity. We did all those. I got the book in there now. I'm going to start putting it online, all the things we invented, and talk about it.
Oh yeah, I definitely check that out. I be love watching those. I think I seen another brew that did that, and it's a lot of stuff we invented that these devils have lied and tried to take credit for, man.
Yeah.
Even with the light bulb, they try to say Isaac Newton created. No, he didn't. A black man created the light bulb.
That's it.
You know what I mean? But guess who got credit for it? The white man.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff. Dude, the average things that we use on a day-to-day basis, a black person created. That's a fact.
Man, I went to school with them, man. They do not have common sense, man. They do not have common sense. See, I just went back to school for psychology maybe about 7 years ago, and I was in there with a lot of young white people. They are ignorant, man.
Yeah.
They're ignorant to the instructions and knowledge. They can't think. They can barely think themselves out of a wet paper bag, man. You give them instructions, man. They have to go home and look it up on the internet. They don't understand nothing that's coming out of the teacher's mouth. Especially if the instructor's black, you know. Your instructor's black, they shut all of that out, man.
And that's because they brute beasts. That's why they don't have common sense.
Exactly.
You know,
That's right.
And it shows. But today in today's time, they have assembled into society as being trying to be perceived as the most academically inclined, when that's really not the case. And see, the white man know that, so that's why he loved trying to sound right and talk right. I was talking to this Edomite the other day. He was talking to me about my dog, and we just end up getting on dogs. And I was like, yeah, man, the Rottweiler was initially bred to house and farm sheep. Oh yeah, I know. The other one was no. You see, here this cracker is on meth, high off meth, and he's still trying to remain some type of intelligence and tell me. I said no. You can fact. So everything I say, you can fact check. And then this how I know he high out his head. He said, "Oh yeah, dude, you are right. Oh no, I forgot. The Rottweilers was bred to farm sheep initially. I had it mixed. No, you ain't have it mixed up. You just white and prideful. You thought you could just come over here saying it. See, that's the white man. They don't even care if they're wrong. They just want to sound right.
Yeah, they want to outthink you. They want to think that they telling you something.
Exactly. And I gave him the biz. Here he is, literally high on meth, still trying to be right." And he under the influence. You gotta see how much pride they got. You can't make this stuff up, man. What I was gonna say, I wanted to mention this too. I had watched a video from Priest of Bach like a few weeks ago. I know you probably don't know this. I gotta fill you in. So apparently, they were supposed to have a summit, and some younger dudes told Priest of Bach that, "Hey man, y'all failed us. I think I told you this. Y'all failed us The elders in the community failed us. We want to get you out the way, bring in other people. Yeah, for real. And he was salty about the situation. He was like, brothers just said that. Brothers put my face up in the picture. And I just so happened to be on his channel when he was talking about it. Now I got a reaction video rebuking Sons of Thunder, and Priest Sabak is in it. And I'm speaking in general, so I don't know if but I really wasn't. That really wasn't for him concerning that. That was literally for Sons of Thunder. That's just a picture I used. But I think did make a few general statements. So I think that Priest Sabak kind of in his feelings about that. But he'll come around. He always does. But here's why I fool with Elder Zabak, because he always say, I understand, and brothers very well could be doing that, coming from from a righteous place in their hearts. He also said, but if you get...
Yeah, that's why I like him too.
Exactly. Because that's real. But he also said, if they not, then the Lord go deal with them. So you can't go wrong with that. He said, I understand, and I know a lot of brothers are doing that in truth and sincerity. And Priest Sabak not dumb. He probably understands a few things he could have done better within the nation of Israel. And see what it boils down to, Elder, is people not speaking up about the bullshit. That's what the brothers talking about. Brothers not want to push stuff up under the rug. Now, me and my boy was just talking about some other stuff that Israelites push up under the rug. We can't. A lot of people got respected persons. Everybody wanted to fast for Alazar. Anointed House of Saints just came out and said that Joel was stealing money from people, and he got his bank account tied up to everybody digital apps where he can have access to the money. Did anybody fast for Anointed House of Saints that don't discourage them for any? Of course not. See, so you see how selective people are in the truth with what they want to fast and pray for. You see what I mean? Respect the persons. Everybody just doing that because of who that is with Alazar. This is why I don't take a lot of people serious.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And
it's like you said, it's a lot of it is materialistic. They following those material things, man.
Exactly.
And that's because we are on the bottom of, they on the bottom we on the bottom of the chain, food chain. So everybody trying to, and the low self-esteem, so everybody's trying to, survive, man. So, that's easy. That's easy to see. Even rich kings, Solomon. Was that King Solomon? David's son, his son, was it King Solomon? He went off.
You talking about are you talking about Adonijah?
No, when he went off and started letting his concubines offer sacrifice to false gods.
Sacrifice. I think you talking about are you talking about Jeroboam?
He got old. King Solomon got old, and he had a bunch of concubines.
Oh, Khan. I know what you Khan. Okay. Khan. Yeah,
he went off. He was a wise king, so we all can go off. I think what happened to Priest Sabak, man, he was going strong when I first started watching him 7 or 10 years ago, and then he had some stuff happen in his camp, man, and then people put out some stuff about him and women and stuff, man, and he fell off. But I think he's trying to keep a low profile now, man. But yeah, his group fell off. What I saw, they fell off first, man.
Khan, I definitely agree, Elder. I definitely agree. I did notice a difference from the beginning. From now, I know a lot of people left the camp for whatever reasons. I remember when that thing happened with that man where he had allegedly married.
down to just $45 per month.